Hello everybody. How you doing? It's been a hot minute. Man, it is cold here in New Zealand. It's like -3 Celsius, but still, it's quite cold. I'm coming to you here on my birthday, July 7th, to celebrate and kind of announce my new book, which was actually inspired by an event that happened exactly 1 year ago on my previous birthday when I was in Scotland. Let me tell you the story. So I had spent the entire month in Scotland taking photos, kind of doing my thing. I rented a car and drove all around and saw the whole. I didn't see everything, but I saw as much as I could see. I tend to get around. And I had a few good photos, a few successes in the sea of failures, but I had a great time. And the whole time I was there, I felt connected to the land. Something about Scotland, even though I'm very well traveled, been to all 7 continents, and I'm like full of gratitude and all this stuff. I had never been to Scotland. I've always been drawn there. Just like I was, for some reason, some inexplicable reason, drawn here to New Zealand, where I moved about 15 years ago. And while I was there, I was making all these connections between New Zealand and Scotland. I found it just to be a very inspirational place. I loved the people and I felt connected to the land, and it was weird, but like a good kind of weird. Anyway, I was supposed to leave on July 6th to go to New York City, but through some confluence of events, or rather a comedy of errors, I ended up having to stay another night in Edinburgh, right? And I was right by that big, beautiful castle there on top of the old extinct volcano. And I was very drawn there too. There's a lot of energy there. I've always been really sensitive to energy. So I was staying at this little motel. It's called Motel 1 at the base of it, this cute little boutique motel. And I'd gone out earlier that night to take photos of the castle again, even though I've already been there, I feel like, at least a dozen times. And I was using my little 360 camera. I was recording a lot of my time, making little videos along the way. And for some reason, like I felt these 3 spirits around me. And I would go like, love is the answer, love is the answer, love is the answer. And I thought, well, that's weird that I just kind of automatically said that. Of course, that's the truth. And I had other realizations that night while I was out taking photos of the castle. So I go back to my motel room. And I gather up my computer and stuff. It's about midnight. I'm going to go down to the bar and edit my photos and stuff like that. Sometimes I like to get out of the room. So I'm sitting there in front of my bed, or standing there, and I'm holding my computer like this and my phone like this, and I'm kind of swaying back and forth, and I'm looking at these 2 photos above my bed. One is of some rams, the male sheep with the horns, and the other is of these rocks out in the ocean along the northern coast of Scotland. And I'm making all these connections between those photos and New Zealand and my life, and things just click together. And then the craziest thing happens, okay? Nothing like this has ever happened in my life. I involuntarily, automatically say these 24 magical words. I don't know if they were 24. It might have been 16, might have been 30, I don't know. But they just flew out of my mouth. It was something like Angelo Shilderostotopopopakis. It was like a magical spell. I don't remember what it was. But it did remind me of something that I had heard before. Maybe words that I heard when I came into this life. Either way, right after I said them, I collapsed face first on the bed, right? Didn't even have a chance to put out my hands to stop myself, just face plant. And my body was like a television set that had been turned off, and my soul just shot out of my body, like a bat out of hell, went through the roof, ceiling, blah, 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 out into space, and I was just this light body. I was free. It was like total ecstasy. It was amazing. And I was flying through space and stars around me. I was like, wow, what's going on? This is so cool. And it felt strangely familiar, right? And from that point on forward is like nothing like any experience I've ever had before. I tried pretty much all the drugs, all the psychedelics, ayahuasca, ibogaine, 5-MeO-DMT, you name it. This is nothing like that. It's also nothing like a astral projection, which I've done many times, or a lucid dream. This is next level. Like, I was going home. I was going to all of our true home. So I'm going, I don't see like a tunnel with a white light. Everyone has different near-death experiences, which I guess this can be loosely categorized into. There's no need to categorize things. We tend to do that in this Western, Socratic, reductionist type world. But anyway, so I go into a very different kind of tunnel, and I see this big rectangle with all these colored lights behind it, right? I'm going to go spend some time in the spirit world. Something that I knew very little about, but something I know a lot about now. And as I'm going in, like, I have this realization. I'm like, oh, like, I understand everything. Like, I get it. I get it. Unfortunately, I don't remember any of that. They select, what you can and can't bring back. Anyway, so I go into this place. It's like a coliseum, like full of these rainbow colored lights. And there's so much love in there. And I'm surrounded by my whole family of souls. I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. And I felt like I had just like completed Mission Planet Earth. Like I was like Maximus returning to Rome or something like that. And it was just incredible. So this is the beginning of the book. And then I take you on like the rest of the adventure and everything that happened in the past year. Wow, there's been some good times, some dark times, and also I've been studying a lot because a big chunk of the book is about like making my lifetime of being an atheist, right? My background is computer science and math. I was a devout atheist, even though I went to an all-boy Jesuit school and blah, blah, blah. But over the last 10 years, I've really loosened, and it's really been punctuated by this event. I mean, when you get to spend a little time with God, you're like, okay, all right, let me reassess things here a little bit. So, and I'm not a born-again Christian. I haven't returned with any kind of messianic complex or anything like that. But a lot of the book fuses together my lifetime of science with spirituality. And not only that, but the bigger thing of like, what exactly is happening with reality, which is something I've always been fascinated with. What is all this around us? For a while, I thought we were in a simulation. Not anymore. Like the big philosophical questions, like what happens after you die? What is your soul? Is your soul eternal? How many times do you have to return to Earth to get it right? What are these things we're trying to get over? We have all these facets on the jewel of our soul, and we've got to clean off the negative stuff like, anger and greed, and the big one, fear, for example. Once you get over that one, that's the big one. So the book explores all of these topics. And so since I've come back, since they sent me back into my body, I was like, no, don't send me back to that dense three-dimensional Earth with all that pain and hatred and anger and nonsense and war and pollution and terrible stuff we do to the Earth. The stuff that I don't understand, like, what's going on? Don't send me back. I'm a five-dimensional light being. They sent me back because I guess I have some other mission to do or something. I don't know. Or maybe we all do together. And I don't know if you want to call it an awakening, but it does seem to be happening more and more around, doesn't it? So the book explores a lot of that too. So if you're curious about your own awakening, or you're starting to feel like something doesn't quite make sense in this world, maybe this book will give you a new sense of things, perhaps. Because I like to think I'm a pretty level-headed guy that's leading maybe probably a more interesting life. But I have figured out a few things before this book, but then especially after. And I know full well I'm probably going to lose most of my audience with this, because they're going to be like, Trey, just take more photos and, stay in your lane. that sort of stuff. I get that. I've been getting that stuff for 20 years. But I think it will resonate with the right people at the right time. And so, in addition to the book, I have a new reading nook that y'all can join. It's in Facebook. Come, ask me questions. You can talk about the book. We can talk about other books. It's kind of like a where a bunch of moms get together for like a wine club, and they mostly just drink wine and don't really talk about the books too much. Well, you can do that too. That's fine also. But anyway, come on in, all nice people. I'm always available for questions. And I hope you get a lot out of the book. I really enjoyed writing it. Um, it's been a nice treatise on things. I've been able to organize and coalesce my thoughts into a cogent tome that I hope you enjoy. Anyway, I love you guys very much, and I will see you in the nook. Okay, ciao bella.